horse drifted alarmingly in the betting, was, fenced in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a big warm welcome. It's the Sunday sermon. This is where you get your feast of our punditry on the shit show that is racing that's happened this week. All your complaints, moans and gripes we'll go through. And certainly it's quite an action-packed show. There's plenty of talking points. And as always, hello to my two favourite cohorts, John Lang and Chris. Good evening.
Hiya.
Hello, everyone.
As you can see, John is firmly up for this. He's ready. He's absolutely ready. He's in the shackles, ready. Right. He's had 3 tins of Monster. Right. Okay. On to first sort of topic, and obviously we're gonna look at the Irish Oaks with Save the Last Dance, and there's been obviously a fair bit of opinion about this. The horse touched 999 to 1 in running for the princely sum of someone had £6 on it. Yeah, well done if you got the £6 there, but it made headlines for £6. And of course, Save the Last Dance looked.
Mine was the 7th quid.
so yeah, waiting to be matched, John. Yeah. This horse looked in a lot of trouble 2 furlongs down, and probably, I'm not saying rightfully so, touched the maximum price, but certainly did look a million as Rafe and Ralph's blue stocking stormed to the front and looked to have it in the bag. But yeah, John, what's your take on a racing journalist has commented on this? And I thought I'd bring you in on this.
It was unbelievable, actually, because they were going on and they were saying, what's the next target for Save the Last Dance? Just reading this passage, I've had in a racing post I've never heard of. Yorkshire Oak looks a prime opportunity. After being denied by her soul sister on her first attempt at 1 mile 4 furlongs in the Oaks. Now, forgive me, how far the Cheshire Oaks? Which she won.
Yeah.
Save the Last Dance has opened the door to more options following a brilliant success in the Irish version. Brilliant? Okay. Brilliant, thanks. Aidan O'Brien will no doubt have eyes on more Group 1 glory with the filly, and the Yorkshire Oaks looks a prime opportunity for her. She should relish the track. Oh yes, that quick, flat 1 mile 4 furlongs you'll be on about. In time, she'll get an extra couple of furlongs and the St. Leger in September would give her that extra bit of recovery time before the Irish Leger 6 days before. Well, I don't know about you, but I thought she'd have done another mile 6 yesterday.
Like, John, your quote to me off air was she needs 1 mile and 6 now, like right now. She'll probably need 2 mile by September. It should be pre-Decadran or top weight, it says.
Yeah, and then he says, Save the Last Dance is in the arc, but with August Rodin improving at every start, yeah, I mean, it marmalised him in the Irish Derby, didn't he? Tops Kyprios still to return. I wouldn't be surprised if her season finished in the Doncaster Classic. Liam Head, reporter. Well done, Liam. That's probably the biggest pile of shit I've read. In God knows how long.
Oh, poor Liam Head. He's been marmalised by Jonas.
Is there a sub-editor at the Post now? Also?
Well, you never know. I mean, God knows. I just don't know what's going on at the Post.
Sub-editor, Ellen Keller.
It literally is a shit show there at the moment. But then, when was he ever good at the Post? I mean, you had Bruce Billington for years with these weird takes on racing matters, basically sending the Post downwards for yonks, and then it's ever since that it's just got worse and worse. I mean, there are some credible journalists at the Racing Post. I think Chris Cook writes for the Racing Post occasionally. Lee Mottershead does some good pieces.
Paul Smith that does the spotlights.
Yes, Paul Smith, mentioned for him. There are there's not many. But yeah, the standard he's extremely poor. So yeah, that kind of made me laugh when you highlighted that to me, John. And what I'd say about this filly is the Ledger probably she'll need every yard of the Ledger to win it, and I don't care anybody says because people say, well, yeah, you're going up in trips, so she's going to like massively improve. But as we know, like horses through time, and they'll probably go slower in the Ledger.
She's shortish for Ledger now, isn't she?
Yeah.
And I mean, she wasn't going to pass her pacemaker yesterday at one point, you know what I mean?
No.
Pacemaker was taking half a length out of her, and she stood there looking like she wanking off Dan Wootton.
Well, I mean, the thing for me is, threw me off guard. Right,
threw Dan Wootton off guard. I think.
Well,
so the thing for me is that, like you said, John, she struggled to overhaul the pacemaker. The Oaks form, in a way, has taken.
Is the pacemaker in a blender there, or what?
No, it's Curragh, isn't it? We've seen all sorts of the Curragh from it's a front end gas pit, and the wind was behind a bit. It wasn't in the faces.
No.
The thing for me is the Oaks form for me is looking a bit shaky now because, like, we raved about Soul Sister on the pod and everything else, but look, she won, but she got beat in France, fair and square, but by the looks of it. Now Save the Last Dance has scrambled in an Irish Oaks, needing literally every single inch of it to get the job done. So in the Ledger, where they're not going to go as fast, I can see her flailing like an Atlantic salmon 3 out in the Ledger.
Yeah, there's a few things waiting in the wings in the Ledger, isn't there? That could become Ledger horses. You know, the Baltic is going to be very, very interesting now.
It is.
As is that daft race they have at Goodwood as well. Is it the Gordon Stakes or something?
The Gordon Bennett Cup.
Yeah.
Indeed. Right. So we've covered Save the Last Dance. That's our opinion on her. She's Prix de Cadran. She might win 3 Gold Cups with Mare's Allowance. Who knows?
You think she'll jump her? Right.
She'd get 3 mile in the stayers.
We used to say John Run win 1, you know, I mean 3 for this one.
Next Quivega, perhaps. Anyway, yeah, she's slow. That's all we're going to say on the match. She is slow. I mean, don't get me wrong. People say now, Group 1 winner, you're saying she's slow. Yeah, she can't pick up. She's no turn of pace. She's grinder, big grinder. One of them females that used to arm wrestle in pubs, John.
She'd have been putting the Grundy and Bustino race, wouldn't she?
Yeah. The old big like Muncher in pub. You know that we
as a fighting car park out.
Oh yeah. She fights men, and she'll arm wrestle, and it's like one of them. You can't grind. She grinds you down.
They always have short hair, them women, don't they? Have you noticed?
They do. Short hair.
It's generally dyed burgundy.
Yeah, it is. Like, you know, fucking huge arms.
Yeah, men nowadays, though, aren't they? They're all men, so I wouldn't be too...
I'm going to... Yeah, quite.
So, all right, 10 minutes in, we're into the transphobia now. Excellent.
Yeah, but we've started off with transphobia and stuff. Yeah, why not? Who cares? Yeah, so we've covered Save the Last Dance, or Save the Last Dance for you Southerners, and we go to Hookham, John. Now, this is interesting. The weather this week for Hookham, what are we saying? Anti-pose for the King George. Is it wise for Billy Bunters now
to say Hookham?
And by Hookham, yes. Well, I mean, our anti-purse king, our good anti-purse king, Jack Veitch, has put Hookham up, I think, about 8-1, I think he's put this up quite a while ago. So I'm pleased for him.
That was the best move he did when he decided to start shagging Laura Tobin, wasn't it?
The weather forecast. So Hookham's 9-2. John, that cannot start 9-2 if there's cut in the ground Saturday, can it?
Maybe not, because I think it's in the failed out as well.
Yeah. What are we saying about the money for Desert Crown?
I think it's optimistic myself.
Mm.
Because if there's any kind of testing about that ground, I don't think he'll run it.
No.
I think, for me, York's 2-7 now.
Yeah, the Juddmonte for Desert Crown thinks John. I said it had retired. I love my informants.
Mate, when the judge wants that he thinks it's retired.
Yeah. You see, I'm behaving like a typical punter now, Chris. Right? Look what I'm doing. I'm blaming others for my crapness. That's what punters do, isn't it? You get a tip. It runs shit. Who do? You blame the informant. Don't you? You just go, well, what a fucking idiot. And I've just done the same thing. Yeah, I've done the same thing as an average punter would, and I'm blaming others for my own.
The best thing.
Made you look like a donut.
The best thing, though, will be stop rides it at York.
Yeah.
I think if Stout's a listener, and he's a million to be a listener, but if he was, I think he would put Stout on.
Yeah.
Show that cunt up. That'd suit me. That'd suit me anyway, because Kingscourt won't go looking. So anyway, there we go.
Kingscourt's a shot flush, isn't he? Really, though, because I mean, they ruined his confidence.
Right. So what's your betting, John? If say like the Juddmonte is the target for Desert Crown, they'll go the Tory, won't they, over Kingscourt? If Moore's riding for
I'd be pretty certain they would, and I also believe that if the Tory was riding for Gosden, it wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world to me if they brought a frog in.
Yes. Hopefully it's not Pierre-Charles Boudot.
I know. Last year working in the yard, didn't they?
Well, so we'll come on to the next subject now. We'll move forwards. There's a couple of things that's happened this week, and obviously Pierre-Charles Boudot, the accused rapist, who's had his license suspended in France. By the way, like a news blackout on that in France in terms of there's been nothing said since. He hadn't faced trial. I don't know what's happening with that, whether it's true or not, but obviously he's found himself riding out for Ballydoyle. I wonder if that's why they're upturning form, John, because they see like Pierre-Charles Boudot's gone there, and I'll come on to Colm O'Donoghue in a minute. But he's also.
Do you think they're giving out Ash's right now or something like?
Well, for that, but the thing for me is they've got it looks like a team now of work riders that probably are top class. I know, like you'll say, wait, it's
probably the only outfit in Europe that has.
Well, I know, but I mean, look, right. So you've got Colm O'Donoghue. You've got you've got Shamie Effernan, you've got Jamie
Effernan that won the derby.
Yeah, little bastard that won the derby. The work riders they have to get them, where they want them. Yeah. I think it's impressive.
Most of them would be like top 8 in the championship.
Yeah, but they would. They actually would. I mean, like O'Sheen Orr and that. They'd be kicked out of phase. They'd
be shoveling shit. No, they'd be fucking bringing them the teas afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. O'Brien's work rider roster must be like ridiculous compared to.
It's so overlooked as well.
Yeah, you said to me in the past, like
the importance of a good team. When you got your best work riders. I mean, Cecil, Stout, all the top yards in this country, their golden periods have coincided, shall we say, with epic bands of work riders.
Yeah, jockeys that would be like riding sort of group winners would be turning out riding work for Cecil and stuff like that. Yeah, it is. But right, so we're coming on to the sort of morality of it. So this is where I want to bring you to it, like, because you're full of morals, you two.
Morality.
So basically, an accused rapist that's been suspended in France, right? Is this just normal and acceptable that you can go and work in a top, the top European racing yard? Yeah, is that fair game, or should he be, until proven guilty? Why shouldn't he be allowed to earn a crust?
Well, he's accused, isn't he? I mean, as you say, I don't think. I'm pretty sure he's not been convicted, is he?
No, I haven't read anything.
So it's like I think I remember. The idea, I mean, you can see both sides of the argument, but I think one of the criminal high court judges, Justice Henriques, who said that he was very much anti the idea of labelling recipients or victims in quotes of crime as victims, whereas technically they were complainants at the point before the accused person had been convicted, because he said the word victim immediately assumes that the accused that is guilty. Now obviously that caused a huge furore a year or two ago, but I suppose he hasn't been tried as far as I'm aware. He's not been convicted, so he should be free to earn a living, shouldn't he? I think a normal sort of common sense view, but you could see why people would want him sort of, kicked to the curb until it's all sorted out.
I mean, this is it though. I always think like rape is seen as a really bad. Well, it is, of course. It's a.
What I was going to say. I mean, some people think it's quite bad. Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad. So that's what I'm saying. So there'll be some people listening that think, hang on a minute, but there's the other side of the coin that, for example, Benjamin Mendy of Manchester City, basically lost his career because of it, and now he's
Peter Sutcliffe lost his job as a lorry driver. I mean, people don't see the other side of it.
They wouldn't let him carry on driving the lorries. I mean, fucking hell, why not until his trial come up? I mean,
fucking hell, that bread won't be itself.
In defence of the Yorkshire Ripper.
Yeah, Fred West couldn't do that garden makeovers, could he? I mean,
next week, Hitler, all bad.
Yeah, exactly. Painting.
Yeah. I mean, poor Fred West. I mean, he could have had Alan Titchmarsh digging it up, couldn't he?
Charlie Dimmock and Fred.
Yeah, good old Charlie Dimmock. She loved showing them.
Yeah.
She's half gone fat now. Have you seen her? She's back on the telly now.
Is she? All right.
Oh, yeah, she's half gone fat. Fucking now.
Anyway, food's freely available these days. That's the problem. We should back to the 80s. Nothing on the shelves. Starve you fuckers.
Is that enough, Lee?
Yeah, I think we're done on that. Right, okay. So coming to the other side of the coin, then again. So coming to Colm O'Donoghue, obviously riding lots of winners for Jesse. Riding Alpha Centauri to win the Prix-Jacques Lemallois races like that. So this is Colm O'Donoghue. I never heard about this, by the way. Goes into the background, and apparently he assaulted his ex-girlfriend terribly. He was acquitted recently. He hasn't been able to obtain work since. Now, again, when we look at jockeys that have misdemeanors, Oisin Murphy, a lot of jockeys suffer it. Wally Swinburne did, a lot of them do. And Kieran Fallon, another prime example. Yet Coolmore stood by Fallon. It's hard to read what's gone off with Colm O'Donoghue, and he won't comment on it, but he's been acquitted. So basically, another example.
Well, again, isn't that just the fact that you have to raid? The fact that he's acquitted?
Yes. This is a rider at the time that was riding Group 1 winners. I mean, the reason he's not available for comment, he's been asked for comment, and I reckon he's not decided to comment because I reckon he's going to have some legal recourse here. In terms of lost income, perhaps. Maybe that's why he won't comment on it, in terms of, he doesn't want to jeopardise any compensation, perhaps, from these...
Well, I mean, at the minute, let's be fair, we're talking about two innocent men. Your previous one that hasn't been convicted of jack shit.
Yep.
And now there's this one. To me, it's a non-moral argument. It's a fact-based argument. He's given them jobs because of they've not been found guilty of anything.
The thing I find weird with society, and this is what I'm saying, if someone gets accused and charged with something, not proven, but charged, it's literally social media decides that they are 100% guilty. It literally is. It's like, right, somebody's got done for, rape or, but not guilty. So is social media the problem here? Because
the vocal ones are always these angry people in Peterborough that read the Daily Mail, aren't they? Permanently angry about something, and they see
you'd be angry if you lived in Peterborough, to be honest.
Well, I would.
You actually would, yeah.
But
they used to have the highest suicide rate in the UK. Did you know for years, Peterborough?
I wasn't aware of that.
God, I had a bet on all.
Yeah, no, Peterborough, because it is such a sort of an anonymous sort of dormitory type town, and it's you can feel the despair in Peterborough, but it was knocked off.
You can taste the despair in Hull.
Yeah,
you can. Actually, it's like Chernobyl.
Is it?
Yeah, you actually can feel it. You can feel all the pain. The souls crying out in Hull. Yeah.
Well, I broke down on the whole suspension bridge one time when in the pissing rain in November, and I have to say it was the most depressed I've ever felt. You can see why people would want to fling themselves off the bridge. It was just bleak. So
it should paint Hull red, actually. It should just paint the place red.
Why is that, John?
Like that Clint Eastwood film where he had to paint the town red when the bad guys were coming.
Clint Eastwood. What was that film where he played that vigilante later on? Do you remember, like his neighbours were like sort of Filipinos or Gran Torino. Yeah. That's the one. That's what Hull's like. Go around killing neighbours and things like that, or threatening to kill neighbours.
Like the purge every day.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous place.
That's a bit like Posh Martin. That's me not getting on with my neighbours.
Yeah, right. We'll move on. But we are sort of in the camp of these chaps should be allowed to work as normal.
Jobs still proven guilty.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it. And I think we've got a lot of faux outrage because if they are guilty, fair enough. Then that's when they'll go to prison, and that's that. That justice will be served. But until then,
look at the Elliott thing when he's sitting on the dead horse. Remember all the outcry? Oh, he should be banned forever. How many of those people asking for a ban have never bet on any of his horses again? It's soon forgotten, isn't it? That's the thing. When it's
7-2 into 7-4 at Perth, and they've had 300 notes on, it's like, oh, good old Gordon.
Yeah, go on for your fat bastard. Have some of that. Yeah, quite.
Indeed. Right.
Yes.
Hypocrisy, we'll call it. Right. So we'll move on to an excellent article, I felt, from Lee Mottershead on the Racing League. It's back, John.
Thank God.
It's back this Thursday at Yarmouth.
It's back to as well.
Yeah, the Caravanners will be out in force for this. In fact, it might just bust Lee Mottershead argument regarding apparently last year. I didn't know this. This is why Lee Motterhead's a good writer. And he even says under his thing, senior writer. So well done, Lee. 7,935 racegoers turned up in 2022 to the Racing League in total.
Only because Lee Mottershead stood on the gate counting.
I mean that is shocking, and that was down. Apparently, so it shows you how much this is supported. Because, for example, Lingfield's Racing League night, which you'd think summer night, was only watched by 1,362 customers, marginally less than came to see the all-weather card the following Monday. And this is it, right, John? Who are these people? Who are Racing League? What is it all about? It's never like Shergar Cup. It's never caught on. No, everyone hates it. It's a load of bollocks. Why are we keeping? What is it? Are they money launderers? What are they doing?
The BHA can't be asked to do anything, and that's the top and bottom of it. And more or less anything that Rod Street and his bunch of numpties comes up with gets the nod. This is just atypical of everything that's wrong with racing. It's a big grift. They're bringing all the usual suspects to manage the teams. It's a big pile of bollocks. Nobody's interested in it. But racing will still point to it as something they're doing to arrest the decline.
Yeah.
Makes you sick.
Yeah, great rant. It's like there's always the thing where people say, look, well, what are you doing to help racing? And, this is trying to help racing and be positive for the younger audience, but it's not working because they're not attracting any new racegoers. And in fact, they're losing racegoers. So, and ITV that's the thing, ITV are broadcasting it. And apparently, John, here's the stats. The ITV racing audience was about a third of what it gets for an average ITV4 Saturday betting afternoon programme. So if it's 1/3, that means people are interested, does it not?
Of course it does. Not interested in the slightest.
So why are we persisting? Where's the data to say, is it suddenly going to take off? No. No, it won't because
they have nothing to put in its place, like.
But why don't
That's
they
the
use?
thing.
They could utilise that money, I think, a lot better, and they could offer. I don't know, some kind of like these like grassroots finals. They incentivise.
They're using it better if they sponsored half a dozen monkeys in Azerbaijan.
Monkey tennis. That's partridge.
Monkey tennis, partridge, yeah. I mean, the racing league is a massive turn off for me as a punter, and I'm not the only one in the sport, and obviously there's lots of punters. Some punters might enjoy it, but it's not enjoyable. You're having to watch you can't watch the horses in the colours that they're supposed to run in. It's in the team colours, and that's sort of a bit confusing because the colours aren't very differential, and when you start to lose your eyesight like I am. Now, what's that? Is that mine? It's rubbish. It doesn't. You don't. Everyone that has a bet on the race is interested in their bet. They couldn't give a fuck if it's Gloucestershire, fucking North Yorkshire, Scotland, Spain. They're not just bothered.
I think the only good thing with the racing league, you can opt out. I don't think it'll cost you anything to ignore the form, and I don't think it'll cost you anything not to have a bet on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the whole. Surely that's the whole crux of it, to increase levy and betting on it. But it's such a turn off because most races are usually like 4-1 the field, 12-14 runner races. It's a huge turn off. Not for me. Neither is the Shergar Cup. It needs to be put in the bin. Whoever's running this, I want to know the business angle because how are they making money? How can you make money off of this? I don't know. Maybe someone can put me in a better light and say, well, they are making money, but I don't
probably siphons money off to give to them.
No idea. It's absolutely bizarre.
There'll be some black hole in the BHF as a result of this.
For sure.
Guaranteed. They've been paying researchers or, just whatever,
Yeah.
Probably a bloke that paints the signs probably on 250,000 a year or something like that.
That's sign me up for that. I'll have a bit of that. I've got my brush as well. So
So Racing League. Chris has put his services up.
Brush.
He's for sale. He's one of them. He's a turncoat. He'd run from us from like the hills for some cash.
Be like Ed Moses jumping over the hurdles. I'll be honestly.
We're going to move on, and we're coming to some of your questions.
Was there ever a cooler athlete than Ed Moses, by the way?
No, he was proper cool, wasn't he? God, he used to have a lay down before the race, didn't he?
Yeah, sunglasses.
Yeah, he was. And you remember some athletes used to get really edged up before the race, and like you said, Ed Moses. I mean, it's as if he'd just had a spliff.
Maybe he did. They didn't piss test in those days, did they?
No, whatever. I mean, them East Germans. I mean, women had airier armpits than men.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, right on to next.
Kratotchvilova is the word you're looking for.
That's the one. Coming on to your questions, which are plentiful this week and rather entertaining, may I say. Owen Johnson first is probably the most serious of them, so we'll take that first before we get on to a bit of fun. And he said, what did you make of Tom Siegel's piece in the Weekend of this week? You don't often agree with him, blah, blah. I thought it was an excellent piece, and I'll clarify it for you two if you haven't read it. It was Tom Siegel perplexed by all the jockeys in recent times, and I think he makes some fantastic points. Like when the jockeys last week, John, at Ascot had the eye draws and moved across to the middle draws. What was that all about?
Yeah.
I mean, incredible. And then the three later in the card that stayed Sandside were 1, 2, 3. Divvies, right? He also goes on, and he mentions Ryan Moore and said Ryan Moore's a class apart in terms of riding skills at the minute. I agree with that. And that includes O'Sheen. O'Sheen is not in Ryan's class. And he says he doesn't get the obsession with coming wide on the round course at York either. And he makes the point that Astro King, for example, in the Magnet Cup, would have won in another stride, staying on his path on the far side.
York's one of the biggest mysteries there is to me. I mean, in the sprint races, they say single figure to low is where you want to be. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are using the straight course in the sprint. They're on the straight.
Yeah.
So you would think, swinging into the straight, a jockey would think, on this bit, you need to be low to single figures. So I'm going to stay on the left.
Yeah.
And yet, invariably, whoever leads into the straight tacks them over to the stand side. Fucking bonkers, isn't it?
I can remember Frankie doing this a lot, and I don't know if some senior jockeys have set the precedent on that, so that it's like the done thing in the weighing room. You know, like, oh, when the ground just gets a little bit of cut in it, right? Oh no, you swing off the bending, you ignore the far rail, and it's like, obviously, John, you're like racing historian, elephant memory, and you know yourself, York back in the day, everything was stuck to far rail, didn't it? Like on the round course races.
Yeah. One example that I can give you was the Eva meeting in '87. Yeah. And Wally had walked the track with Eddie Hyde, believe it or not, before the Judgment. So I think it was Benson AG back then. He rode a horse called Ascot Knight.
Oh, yes.
Probably up against it with Triptych.
Oh, yeah.
And Wally stayed wide in that race, right the way to turning in. And he nearly won. He nearly pulled it off. But that was in the just about before the started water into excess. I mean, John Smith, who was flag of the course at the time, used to like slapping it on, don't get me wrong. But not to the excessive amounts that they do now. Yeah. And it was a case of the watering system, which was a pop-up job, didn't get right to the extremities of the track. So rain on top of watered ground was soft to heavy everywhere, barring the absolute extreme outside. Yeah. And Wally absolutely scraped the paint that day. He beat everything barring Triptych, who didn't mind soft ground, did she?
No, she was slightly good on soft ground. And a tragic end to Triptych as well. Didn't she have a stable yard accident? I think it was like some kind of traffic accident or something, or she ran into something. I don't know.
Yeah. It seems to happen a lot to good fillies and that, doesn't it? You know, things go wrong and they never get the braiding out of them that the honest feel they should. Yeah.
Really sad case there. But yeah, so he went on to say about Chester as well, like I end up being wide form and wide throws. And this is the thing, it's happened at Beverley as well. Obviously, he doesn't bother about Beverley, does Tom Siegel. It's north of Watford, isn't it, Chris?
I think the water, the bias. I think
they'd be dragon.
They're trying to water the bias out at Beverley. I think that's as plain as the nose on your face.
Yeah. So. Inside Rail came back a bit last meeting, so they might have stopped it now, but certainly for a bit, like wide form were massive at Beverley, and it's so sad to see races, and like you said, John, that's why you struggle to have like serious betting opportunities at Newmarket July course, because they can be three. It can be like three pelotons.
You should have three groups, easy. You know.
Yeah, it's just pathetic. I mean, they were biased. Well, Nick reckoned they were biased. I didn't watch too much race at Newmarket. I haven't caught up yet, but apparently he said the far rail was quite decent Saturday. So again, they're all kips. They're all overwatered kips with biases, and it's very frustrating for punters when you back a horse and you think and you're drawn in a certain place that you think, well, it's not a disadvantage, like Chester on the inside, and then it is a disadvantage.
Let's be fair, if you're watching Newmarket July course as part of your form research study, you might as well stand outside an orphanage and watch it burn to the ground for all the impact it's going to have on your form study.
Yeah, geez. Both terrible sights, to be honest. So, further questions, we'll move on. We've got plenty of stuff. We've been asked about syndication, and this is from Martin Coyne. He says, with John Joe's eye for equine potential, when are the Barsters starting their own syndicate? Basically, I think that's something we've talked about. If you want to DM us, especially on Patreon, join Patreon. It's worth it. DM us and just say what your potential outlay could be, in terms of like what you could afford to put in if you're interested, and we'll see if it's a goer. Like I said, the problem with owning racehorses is it can be a money pit, but I've owned horses all
really.
Yeah. It's a money pit, and it's
difficult, isn't it?
It is very difficult. So if it was done, it has to be done right. I believe we've the expertise to do it right, but we'd have to sort of know, like, feeling on it overall. I'm not. I'm not
Well,
prepared.
what I'd say, Lee, sorry, cut across. I think importantly, you have to know what people individually want, because one size does not fit all. Do you want one for a day out? There's going to be campaigners merit, or do you want to have a bet, etc., etc. And what a lot of these things fall to pieces is because people have different aspirations as to what the purpose of the syndicate is, and that's why
I would estimate that 90% of our clients that would be interested in getting involved would want a touch.
Yeah,
I can see that, but I reckon also, you see, this is a problem when we've got a lot of generous patrons. We thank you very much for this, and the thing is also, I don't know people. There might be some wealthy people that say, "Look, I've always fancied buying a well-related yearling that could make up into something top class." And take the punt. I don't know.
Maybe buy Chris a car as well. So I can
the trouble with that is if you fancy buying a yearling that's going to make up into something decent, you probably need to buy 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? And I think
that's the Midland Park Nick Bradley strategy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you sell all your syndicates and you've got this nice promising yearling turn 2-year-old where you might pay 50 or 60,000 for it as a syndicate, but they've got like you just highlighted, John. They've got like 15 of them, and probably 1 or 2 are going to turn out to be very nice.
Yeah.
The other 13 are running at Beverley and Catterick for the rest of the
season. Therein lies your problem, I mean, I always said to the old lady, if you were going to go into this properly, you generally need about 100 million you don't give a fuck about.
You're right.
Well, okay. Yeah. I think you're right, John. But I think for those that look, there are some syndicates, the smaller ones, that obviously do deliver good value in terms of either not just prize money but deliver value in terms of enjoyment to people. But I think if you wanted a touch, then that's a very discrete set of requirements, isn't it? Which I think is easy. It's easier to do in quotes than buy a load of yearlings and see if we can win a group race. Well, as you say, you're 100 million to do that. But something with a bit of proven form or horses in training, I think, give you the best chance. But that's only if people want that.
Yeah, I mean, like that was my modus operandi. So 2011 to 2015. I bought quite a few horses that it's a boring angle now. You buy them from poor yards and you take them to better yards, and
there's competition for that now, though, really.
Exactly, everything's overpaid. I mean, there's one running tomorrow at Beverley called All Done, Jamie Osborne, who won't be the best, and that it's only rated something like 16,000. I were getting them back in 2011. I bought Thundering Home for like 3,000 quid.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference from Mark Latwall.
Exactly. You did well. So all we're saying is that we need Johnny Farrelly, give us a call, and Helen Nelms, get ready. You're having a load of 2-year-olds, love. Honestly.
Anyway,
there you go.
DM us and we'll sort of see the interest, because if it's positive, obviously everything's confidential. What you say does not get shared. That's it. It's private. I'd just like to get a feel for doing something like this. I want it to succeed, and it has to succeed, and we have to get a game plan right. And I think that's where we, until we get the sort of numbers sort of interested, it's a waste of time talking about it. But thank you, Martin Coyne, for that. Right, further questions. Please, can the lads confirm the Ebor preview night details? This is not going ahead now live. This will be on Patreon, of course, as usual, the York Ebor preview. Maybe next year that can happen. Thank you, Tom. Harold Roberts says, is all weather the way to go and finally ditch grass?
Yes.
It's just a resounding yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to add to that. Philip Doherty was pissed off because he says 8 meetings on a Saturday is just ridiculous. When he ignores...
He's the one that went and got pissed.
He got pissed. He said because he was fed up of... he watched the opening show and they mentioned Meghan and Kevin a ludicrous amount of times. It's kind of... it's getting a bit boring, really. I mean, the thing is, Meghan... Look, I don't dislike Meghan or Kevin at all. I think they're decent people, and I think Meghan's turned into a decent pundit in a way. But is it a bit like...
It's Ed Chamberlain looking for a story, isn't it, all the time? And if Kevin wins a race, because they've got Meghan on the team, it's an easy story.
Yeah, King of Steel wins.
Oh,
you know, like King George Saturday, what they're going to do? It's like they'll be like showing photos like Meghan in tears after racing parade ring, and it's it's like
it's like Alice Plunkett with Granny, isn't it? If that thing had won the national,
Oh God,
it's just more obvious than Dale Whitten. Colonel Braxton
was he gay then? You never had. I thought it was like Liberace. I remember seeing a thing years ago where these old girls were interviewed, and obviously Liberace, came out as it were. And
they all thought he was going to fuck him, didn't they?
You'd never have thought it, she said. And then they cut to a bloke. He was dressed as a drum majorette with knee-high glitter boots marching up and down the stage. And these old girls were saying, "Oh, he just thought he was a nice fella." You never thought that. Fucking hell.
I know. Back then,
they're chucking the knickers at him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he's thinking, I'd rather have some Calvin Kleins.
Yeah.
Colonel Braxton's been on, and this is a good point because this is taking off on Twitter Spaces. Apparently, he says, any chance you tweak the Sunday sermon to a live 1 hour Spaces session could be a lot of fun and not recorded, which would help with the more delicate issues. Problem with this, and I'll come to you two for opinion, because obviously I've not discussed it with any of you who are going to Spaces at all, but. No. You can't record, which is terrible. We're getting between 2,000 and 3,000 listeners on the Sunday sermon. Now, on Space,
can't all listen at the same time.
Exactly. It's dog walkers. It's your dog walkers. It's people that listen.
People who find bodies out and when they're walking their dog. That sort of
they'll go for a massissive shit at work, like 10:30.
Go for a massive shit and listen to the three massive shit.
Your trader,
So there's always someone that's had a big curry golf like night before needs a huge shit, and then you just go and listen. You probably get through most of it if you skip the shit bit.
The shit on the pod.
Yeah. So as for Spaces, I don't personally think that's a route we'll go down for now. I'm not ruling it out ever because it's daft to rule it out.
You can maybe do a one-off special or something.
We do a one-off special. It's £7, so on a Wednesday evening. I mean, we've talked about doing Wednesday evening shows like as a second alternative to like a sermon, if you like, which to boost Patreon members. £7 to Twitter Spaces ain't gonna earn me. No, I mean I've got to talk to I've got to talk to complete randomers.
Fuck that, And this is heavily scripted,
£7 and talk to me. Yeah, pay you £7.
Scripted. We've learnt our lines the last 4 days, haven't we? Every comma is heavily scripted. This is,
look at. They can tell by how slick it is.
The magic doesn't just happen.
Oh.
I mean, look, you couldn't walk into Gypsy Lee's tent in Blackpool. You had to cross her palm with silver. That's the same thing now.
Yes, but she'd let you put it anywhere.
Is that your alter ego, Gypsy Lee, honestly?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so no plans at the moment for Twitter Spaces. We'll leave that to the thumbhead Icy to mop up the crowd and whip up the crowd into a frenzy on their Spaces account. So look out for them too. Baldy and Icy going at it on Twitter Spaces. It's like that Simpsons episode. It's Plough King, and Mr. Plough. Icy versus the thumb.
Like Homer versus Peter Griffin.
or Peter Griffin versus the chicken.
Yeah. God, had some good scraps, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah. Right, so what about Racing's podcast says Iqbal Khan, jockey or halal butcher?
Islamophobic comments. I had so much fun this week.
Well, we've done transphobia, we've done homophobia, and we're doing Islamophobia.
Well, I was winding so many people up, and how many people buy it? I said, this is Islamophobia. I said that the rules should be, mindful of cultural sensitivities. And then someone from Godolphin came on and said, the rules are the rules. I said, I would be deleting that account. I said, they'd be giving you the boot tomorrow. I said, this Islamophobia. Someone blocked me. And then they come and I said, why don't they? I said, maybe it was a language barrier. So why isn't racing employing full-time interpreters for foreign jockeys? And someone came back and said, that's a good idea. Yeah, brilliant. These people are fucking stupid, aren't they? Absolutely. It was the most appalling ride you've ever seen, but you can wind people up quite easily.
Yeah. You kind of chop that in half, but never mind. But again, I suppose it's the young lad syndrome, isn't it? I mean, if Dettorian had done that, they'd have brushed it under the carpet somehow, give him a 10-day ban, and said, don't do it again. But what do you think, John, to that? Did you see the ride?
They should have put him off till the end of the year and sent him to racing school.
I think so. Yeah,
it was. Yes.
It was dreadful. Right, 2 more questions. Both are very good. One's half serious, one's a funny one. If you was in Gosden's shoes, this is from Nick the Nipper.
He's walking with a stick. I don't know whether I'm fancy any of his shows.
There you go. That's that question. And you wanted to replace the sardine with a retained rider. Who would you go for, John? Who are you sending to Clarehaven?
Kevin Stott. No question.
Would you, honestly?
Absolutely. Just complete takeover. Get Megan in as well and race planner. Yeah. Put my feet up and enjoy the show.
Yeah. I'd go with you. Just try and get Oisin away from Sheikh Farhad, wouldn't you? I mean, surely Oisin
probably would, really.
Oisin must have had enough of blowing Farhad off by now.
Well,
to smoke a different pipe.
That job stinks anyway, doesn't it? Because he's across so many trainers.
Yeah.
You'd be gagging to get out of that job, wouldn't you?
I think
Eddie Hearn's coming back. You know, that's a name in the frame.
Betfair Eddie soon, yeah. We're all looking Betfair Eddie. Who's going to be agent to Betfair Eddie? That'd be a hot. As long as Betfair Eddie lets you know what he's doing, yeah, for sure.
That, wouldn't it?
If I was his agent, I'd be telling him what he was fucking doing. Don't worry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you know, like this Rafe Ralph thing. I had this theory today that is Rafe Ralph maybe a split personality? Have you seen Me, Myself, and Irene?
Bipolar.
You know, have you seen it, John? Jim Carrey film. You've seen it, Chris?
No, I haven't, mate. Honestly.
So basically, to explain to non-viewers, so it's Jim Carrey playing like a split personality, a really nice policeman that oh hello, like really proper do-gooder in society, and then he has this split personality where he has a trigger and he turns into this guy called Hank, and like a sexualized predator.
You've got nice Ralph.
Yeah.
And nasty Rafe.
Yeah.
Badly tested. Yeah.
It's just, I could just like split. I mean, the thing is, Chris, how do you see the name Ralph and Rafe? Do you think he hates the name Ralph because Rafe is more like higher echelon acceptable?
Oh God, yeah. It's like Rafe Fiennes. You don't call him Ralph Fiennes, do you? And it's sort of and it's in. I remember The Charmer with Nigel Havers. The character there was Rafe. So it's it is a very.
Let's be fair, you'll get your head down the bogs feeling up. You shout Ralph, you don't shout for Rafe, do you?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, Ralph is a bit kind of blue collar, isn't it? Rafe is. He's like Anton Dubek, isn't it? The old was it the dancing guy, the judge on Strictly Come Dancing? His name's something like fucking Graham Cleaver or something. So if you're going to do it, it's not. But
the old meat cleaver.
Yeah. It's Anton Dubek. I mean, what a fucking name that is, isn't it? That's a crack. So
right. To finish this, let's finish this a rasping question from Samuel the Cat. Difficult scenario on any given day. The bar stewards each had to give a trusted racing pundit £100 to turn into £200 through betting. And if they were not successful, the bar steward would get shot. Which pundit would they trust to complete this task? Right, can I start this off? Well, I think this is a straightforward answer. You just pick Ken because he'd go for the shortest price, so you're a bit least likely to get shot.
Yeah. Favourite looks well. Yeah.
Favourite looks well. Thanks, Ken. While Weaver, Megan, and fucking Mick Fitzgerald are putting you on 16s perks, I'm there at even money shot.
I get it, Reddy. Yeah. Yes, I think that's a pretty sensible play. I think I wouldn't. If it had to be Ken, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Job.
McNair sometimes chucks a 2 to 7 in his 3, doesn't he?
Like that, nice and short, thin.
Maybe have a cut at something like that, with the proviso that Ken thinks it looks well.
Yeah. If Ken comes
getting a bit warm behind the saddle though.
Oh, it's that proviso. Yeah. It's like he's tipped it up a bit warm behind the saddle now, but then when it wins, it's like, well, yeah.
Well,
never in doubt.
Ken is the Claude Duval of the paddock world, isn't he? He's just great.
Nice man. He's a very nice man, but fucking hell, anyone could do that, I think.
Yeah. So we hope we've cheered you up after this weekend of completely boring sport, where there's been a procession in the open golf. There's no cricket whatsoever due to raining up north as usual. grim up north. Yeah, so we hope the Irish enjoyed the Irish hurling over there, because I bet it's better than what we've put up with in this country today. So, that's all from us. Bye for now.